guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to be looking at the Sage Duo Temp Pro. That's the machine that I have behind me that you've seen in a few other videos. So I've had a lot of questions of you guys asking. I'm just getting into homebrew, staying at home a lot, so I want to get an espresso machine. Would you recommend this machine? So what I'm going to do today is give my opinion to you guys on whether I think this is a good place to start. So whether you've been brewing at home for a while and you want to up your espresso game, or if you are getting this machine for the first time and you're fairly new to coffee, then I'm just going to give my input to you guys on how it is to use, how I've found. I've had it a year and I am a barista as well, so professionally, so I go and make coffee in cafes. So I wanted to just tell you guys how I find it and how I think beginners will find it. So let's go. Okay, so we're just going to take a little look at the specs of the machine. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because I know when you're looking online at things, and maybe if you're new to coffee, you've got all these different terminologies and numbers and everything coming at you, and it can be a bit stressful. So I'm just going to go through on hopefully some simpler terms, just on the basics of the machine. So it's a brushed stainless steel body, which I think looks really, really nice and is really easy to keep clean as well. It looks really good on any setup, I think. It's got manual espresso control, so that does mean that you have to turn your dial to start and stop the shot of coffee coming through, but we will have a look into that later when we make a coffee, and I'll give some tips and what I tend to do when I make my coffee with it. It's got a removable water tank at the back, which is really handy. I tend to only remove it when I keep it clean, when I'm cleaning it, just because I tend to use filtered water, so like out of a water jug, because I live in a really hard water area, and the last thing I want is my machine getting super scaled up and having to descale it all the time. So, but it does have a water filter in it as well, which is really handy. So those two combined will make some good coffee and hopefully make your coffee taste better as well. It has got a tamper that's on a little magnet that slots into the top of the machine. I think that's a really cool idea. It just keeps it tidy, if you like that, and it's never going to be floating around or misplaced or anything like that. It's got tool storage in the back just behind the drip tray, which is cool, so you can keep your baskets or any other little accessories that you've got that you don't want to get lost or kicking around, so that's there. And you've got the drip tray, which does have a little little notifier essentially that pops up when your tray's getting full, so you know when to empty it. We've all been there where we've been so into making coffee and then suddenly there's water and coffee everywhere. It's a disaster. So that's a really helpful feature. So the cost of this machine is, I've looked, it's about £380 to buy online. It does vary less and more depending on where you get it from. If you are from anywhere other than UK, you might find them as Breville machines. They are the same thing basically, just under a different name, but the UK is the Sage machine. Okay, so let's go over what I think is really, really good about this machine. Okay, so let's run through what I really like about this machine, and there are quite a few things that I really like. First, as I said previously, being the overall look and the build quality of the machine. It looks really nice, easy to clean, and I really like the quality that's gone into it. So I've had a lot of espresso machines in the past and they've all felt a bit kind of cheap, and like you knock your puck shot out and the basket will fall out, and it's not great to use. Whereas this, there's been a lot of thought put into all of the little details, and it feels nice quality, it feels premium when you're using it, which is really nice to have at home. I also really, really appreciate the steam wand that they've got on here for, considering this is their entry-level machine, you can get some really good latte art out of this. So with a little bit of practice and focusing on how you're steaming your milk, you can get some really nice results. I don't know if you guys might have seen, you can kind of get the cheaper machines with the chunkier steam ones, and they essentially just froth your milk. You won't get that with this. As long as you follow your steps of steaming your milk correctly, you'll get some beautiful silky textured milk. I also really like how good the the coffee shots come out. So there's, sorry about that, guys. So using it, you can get some really good quality coffee if you pay attention to your shots and extraction, and make sure that you have a good grinder as well. This machine does come with a couple of different basket options. So you've got pressurized and non-pressurized. So to keep it simple, really, non-pressurized is sort of what I choose to use and what cafes will use, whereas pressurized, you don't have to get your grind spot on to get an okay shot, basically. So maybe if you're just getting into coffee, maybe that's the place to start. I haven't personally ever used them because I'm used to just using non-pressurized, and I've kind of trained and practiced to get the grind right and know what I'm looking for. But if you guys are new, don't feel like you have to use that. You could go for the pressurized and see how you get on, and hopefully get some good tasting shots, and then maybe move on to the non-pressurized. Okay, so now let's talk about a few things that I am not so keen on about this machine. Okay, so what are the things that maybe I'm not so keen on about this machine? When I first got it, the first thing was the tamper. It was very small and stubby, and tamper's a very personal thing depending on how big your hands are, how you like it to feel when you're tamping your coffee. It also is very light, so it didn't have a lot of weight to it. So that's the first thing that I upgraded. I'll show you what I upgraded to later. The second thing being, you can't steam your milk and pour your coffee shot at the same time. So you have to, do one or the other. And if you're sort of new to coffee and you're not sure which one to do first, always do your espresso first. Try and obviously do it as quickly as possible so that you don't lose your lovely crema and your coffee won't cool down. But do the espresso and then do the milk. You don't want to leave your milk sat around, you'll lose the lovely silky texture and it'll sort of go a bit cold. And once you kind of get used to the fact that you have to do that, you can actually transition to it quite quickly. There is one little thing that happens occasionally if you, haven't waited for the machine to cool down. It only takes a few seconds, but you might find that you turn that steam dial and you're waiting, and then you'll get your steam milk. But there can be a little bit of a delay in the transition between the two, so just bear that in mind as well. The third thing being, maybe for some people, the manual espresso control can be a bit annoying. I think for a lot of people maybe it'd be easier to just press the button, have your shot come through. But I don't mind it so much. I think I would prefer maybe one where I can tune in a button, but it's alright. You just have to kind of make sure that you control when you're stopping your shot and stopping your timer and looking at your scales, at your weight and your measurements and stuff. So that can be a little bit like a lot to do, but it's not bad. And the final thing is the fact that the portafilter is 54mm. So there's not a ton of different accessories out there. Like if you wanted to upgrade your portafilter and obviously looking for the tamper, you have got some limited options, but from buying the machine and now I have seen that there's a lot more places that are starting to make things for that, so that's really, really cool. But yeah, just bear that in mind, that you might have to just look a bit harder for the right size stuff. Okay, I think now it's time to brew some coffee. So let's go and make a brew, and I'll run through my recipe with you and you can sort of get a little bit of a closer look of the machine and how everything works. Let's go. Okay, so let's talk about some accessories. So there's a few things that I've upgraded for my personal preference, and then there's some things that I think you guys should definitely get if you're going to purchase this machine. So the first thing being the obvious point, this machine does not come with a coffee grinder built in. Unlike the Barista Express, you will have to purchase a grinder separately. So I'll show you what I use. I have got the Rhinoware's hand grinder. This is a really good sort of entry-level budget grinder that can grind for filter and espresso, and it's a reasonable price. I have got a review of it on my channel if you want to go and check it out and see what that's all about. But I will say that grinding by hand for espresso is very, very tiring. Okay, so especially when you're dialing something in, you're gonna have a lot of wasted shots, and you're gonna have to hand grind each of those, and it does take a bit of time. So I would probably recommend for you guys going to like an electric grinder. So probably the Sage one would be the best option. It's a reasonable price, it grinds well, and it will match your coffee machine quite nicely. I will link everything that I'm mentioning down below for you guys so that you can go and check it out. But grind is very important, especially if you want fresh tasting coffee. So if you're buying pre-ground, that's fine, but if you're not using it quickly, then it can go stale a lot quicker than whole bean can. So I'd recommend always grinding fresh. Second thing, always clean your steam wands, please. This is my bugbear. You know, when you leave the milk on the steam wand and it gets stuck, you're gonna have a nightmare getting that off. It's also unhygienic, and it just doesn't look very nice. And for like the price of microfiber cloths and the time it takes to wipe it off, it's, you know, it's a no-brainer really. These are the Rhinoware's coffee cloths. You get two of these blue ones for the steam wand, you get the little black one for like general purpose, and then you get a brown one for cleaning out your portafilter basket, which is also very important. So yeah, these weren't much, but you don't have to get coffee branded ones. Maybe you have some microfiber cloths in your drawer already, or you can just go and buy some, they're not expensive. So steam wand cleaning is very important. Third thing that I think everyone should have is a scales. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a coffee scales, but they are a bit more accurate. This one again is a Rhinoware's. Are you surprised? They just do really good, good price, good quality kit for, you know, especially if you're getting into it and you don't want to spend a ton. Honestly, can't recommend their stuff enough really. So, you know, go check them out. They do some really cool stuff. So this is just to time shots and weigh shots and weigh your coffee. And also if you're making filter coffee, then this is a must to obviously time and weigh how much water you're putting in so you can get a nice tasting cup of coffee. This is like my best friend basically, my scales. So a few things that I've upgraded for my own personal preference. So we've got milk pitchers. So this is the milk pitcher that comes with the coffee machine. It's fine, it's good, it's a milk pitcher. It steams milk, it's great. But for me, I wanted to get better latte art, and the spout isn't amazing, and the shape for steaming. Yeah, there's a lot of different sort of things that you look for in a milk pitcher. Again, it's a personal thing. I don't quite like the way it feels in my hand. So I just made a few upgrades, only cheap upgrades. So I've just got a plain black milk pitcher that's slightly larger and has a nice pouring spout. So if I want to make like hot chocolates or larger drinks, then that's what I'll go to. And then just a smaller one for my flat whites. This is my most used one. And again, like the pouring spout's a bit nicer, it's a nice shape. But there's tons of different options out there that you can go and have a look at. You don't have to spend a lot, or you can spend a lot if you want to really treat yourself. Okay, so now we are moving on to the Amazon stuff. Yes, I purchased some things from Amazon because I wanted to try and kind of keep it budget friendly but still have good quality espresso at home. So obviously it's not going to be comparable to a lot of the high-end products out there, which, you know, I would love to get in the future, but I wanted to kind of keep this for you guys, like to show you how you can upgrade little bits for a good price. Okay, so first thing being a tamping mat. So this was like really, really cheap. I don't know, like £5, something like that. But it's just a plain black rubber mat that you can put your tamper and your portafilter in to tamp your shot. And it's just a really nice little addition, looks really nice as well. Second thing, as I mentioned earlier, my tamper that I upgraded to, it's got this nice wooden handle, it's a nice weight, and it fits really nicely in my hand. I like using it because it just feels nice for me. Third thing is a distributor. So what this is basically it levels out your coffee before you tamp, and you still need to do both, but you don't want like a mound of coffee and then just to tamp that flat, because you want your water to filter through your espresso nicely and evenly. So this basically reduces like the issue of channeling that you can get with shots, and just makes a nice level bed of coffee to tamp, and then you can make your coffee. And it's just really simple. You put it in the top, give it a couple of spins, and you'll have some nice level coffee. This was about £15. Really, really good, really impressed with it. It's definitely made a difference on the taste and quality of my espresso. Okay, next thing is just this simple little knot box which you can tap your coffee out into. I think it was about £10. But I liked it because it was black and it fitted in with my setup. There's a couple of different options. I think there's some different colours, designs. But yeah, another little nice accessory to have next to your espresso machine. And the last thing, my favourite thing, is the portafilter. This is a bottomless portafilter. So this will be nice to help you get some more control over your espresso. So what this will do is it will show you if anything's going wrong in your espresso, you'll be able to tell. What you want, what you're aiming for is a nice even flow of coffee out of one place. If it's coming out of loads of different places, you know, splatting around, then you've probably got some issues with your shot, whether it's some channeling, whether, you know, like the tamp was wrong. You can really start to fine tune your espresso, and it creates a really nice crema on your coffee. And I bought this one because it had the nice wooden handle to again go with my aesthetics, and it's a really nice quality one for the price. Like, it feels really nice. So honestly, like, you know, I'm usually one for going and getting some nice quality equipment, you know, but at the moment I wanted to make some cheap upgrades that were going to be good, and I was kind of curious to test to see how they were. Okay. So I think now I'm going to give my overall opinion of this machine, whether it's good for you guys as beginners. Yeah, my general overall opinion. Okay, so what are my overall thoughts and opinions on this machine, and would I recommend it for beginners? So, first thing, I would definitely recommend it for beginners. It's a nice looking machine, nice quality, easy to use, but you can still get some really good results with it once you start learning about it and getting used to it. It's also great if you're like me and you work in coffee, or you love coffee at home and you want to get into espresso, and maybe you don't want to spend a ton of money, or, you know, you're on a bit of a budget. Then for the £380 that this machine costs, I think it's a really good option for you. Just for beginners, be aware that if you want to sort of just have a coffee machine where you can press your button, make your coffee and go, then this probably isn't the machine for you. You probably want to look more into like a bean to cup. You won't get the same good results that you will with this. So, you know, with espresso, you know, you put a lot of work into it and you'll get great results. So just be aware that it is more like, it will become a bit more like a hobby, and you will become a little bit, you know, like you want to weigh everything out, which is great because that's how you get fantastic coffee. So it's not for anyone who just wants to make a quick coffee and go, okay? This, you need to put a little bit of work in to get your espresso tasting lovely. So also I love the fact that you can get accessories to upgrade, which will make a massive difference to how your espresso is, how it tastes, and also the overall look of, you know, what goes with the machine, and just have a nice little setup going on. You know, start your little coffee setup, get it going, and create an environment where you'll feel really excited and inspired to kind of make great coffee. That is what I love about my little home setup, and I really enjoy going to make coffee there every day. So overall, I think it's fantastic. If you have any questions for me, pop them just in the comments down below. Are you getting this machine? Have you already got it? How do you find it? Let me know, and I would love to hear what you guys think, and I will see you next time. Let's go brew some more coffee.